What's up?
Chemistry exam today.
You missed an exam?
No.
Oh, chemistry exam.
5 o'clock.
Got it. Does it? Anyway, it's crazy. It just feels like so much more work, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just feels like so much more. I feel like I'm so done. I'm just like, I made this joke last week. I had a work meeting with a bunch of other professors, and I was like, it's like dog years. Like 1 week of Zoom feels like a week and a half or like 2 weeks of regular class. So like,
Especially in the end.
yes. I was like, so we've done 10 weeks. That means it's if we go time and a half, then that's like actually 15 weeks. So we should be done because the semester is 15 weeks. Yeah, we're going real easy in every class. I'm just like, how much less can we do and still give you guys the chance to practice and learn stuff. So it's tricky.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. Today, how do you feel about this class? How do you feel about summary response?
Good. But I have to submission or the paraphrasing, I think.
It's fine.
Last one.
Yeah, I think I'm still thinking about how many more assignments to do. I think it's good to do less right now. I think, especially for me, because we can. It's not like chemistry. Do you know what I mean? Like our language classes. So, because I know in chemistry, I have a really good friend. She teaches EMT. She teaches the class for people who want to be, first responders and firemen and stuff. And yeah, like that stuff, you have to learn it. Like there is a right and wrong answer, So, but
Yes.
for us, it's kind of like, we can introduce ideas, we can start to learn ideas, and it takes a lifetime to practice academic writing. So we'll see.
And for me, I think it's not fair. I have 91% from chemistry, and I always study only this subject all the time, all nights, all day long. And my grade is down, down, down.
Do you need chemistry for nursing? Got it.
For biology.
Got it. Got it. Hey, Irina.
Hi.
How you doing?
1 second.
Sure.
Good.
Okay. Hey, Olga.
But I read bad news from my country. One people was died.
Yeah.
Yes, policeman killed him today. No, yesterday, but yesterday evening he was at the hospital, and this day he died.
Protester?
But he didn't do something.
Anything wrong?
He was only on the street outside, and
Yeah.
yes, he was 31 years old. Yes.
Yeah.
Bad
It
news.
is, yeah. We, of course, I try to be, it's good to be hopeful. It's good to choose hope. But, and yeah, there's a lot of pain in the world right now, man. It's really intense out here. It's really intense right now in the world, man.
Yes.
And people are crazy now.
Oh my God, it's just,
Especially who has power.
yes. I wonder, my secret hope is that the people with power, like they feel like they're acting extra crazy because they feel threatened right now. I don't know. It is just really interesting. Really interesting.
We have a tragedy. Our hamster died yesterday.
Oh no. How are your kids?
Hello.
Hey, Mohammed.
Hi.
They want to go and buy another one.
Okay, good. They've moved on. They're ready for another. Okay.
They was crying not too long.
Yeah. That's like my 5-year-old nephew. He had his mom, my sister bought him and his brother this little like I don't know, it's supposed to be like a backyard adventure, and it comes with a little cocoon, a butterfly cocoon, and then they open, and then the butterflies, you know, they turn into butterflies, and you set the butterflies free. There were 3 of them. Well, one made it, and then I was over there, and we got to set the butterfly free and let it go. But two did not make it. 2 died, and the 5-year-old is like, "Wait, what's?" They named the butterfly Mango, and they were like, "What's wrong with Mango? What's happening with Mango?" Oh my God. Little baby class again. Like I said, I think everybody's done, and we still have 4 more weeks. How are we gonna do it, you guys? Hey, Nasser. Well, today, actually, I'm really excited for today. I really want to give you guys a chance to, we're going to keep talking about summer in response, but I think it's time to just give you guys some chance during these Zoom meetings to practice. So today, I'm not going to ask you to like listen or like, yeah, today you're just going to get to work really a lot by yourself, and it's just going to be a chance to use this time for you to do some of the work in this class as like a workshop kind of day. So instead of talking about new stuff. So I got to hear from Gloria and Irina, Olga, Mohammed, Nasser. How you guys? Anything to report? Nope.
Thank you so much. I'm fine. Actually, I tried to do, you know, the 117 and 18, but you know, I was not feeling well, especially in my ears. I had pain, so that made me to not do that 17 and 18. So I'm really, you know, feeling, you know, that's why I couldn't do that. So
you are not the only one. More and more, I think even when we go back, to in class, I don't know if I'll ever have due dates again, you guys. It's so nice to not have due dates. I think it's nice for you guys. It's really nice for me because it's, I was talking to another teacher this week, like either students are going to do the work or they're not going to do the work. Like the due dates just add more stress and make you guys more sad and scared. And I don't think it's very helpful.
yeah, of course, even there, you know, to do that one. I mean, we have to do that. So a kind of, you know, stress is there that we should finish that one. That's a part of our job. I mean, you need to learn. That's why even it has no stress, but still it has something to complete.
Of course, yeah. Nasser, did I see your hand? What's up? Oh, I can't hear you. I don't know if you're muted or I can't hear you. You don't look like you're muted.
Sorry.
Oh, you're there.
Yeah. My phone is off. Yes. You can?
I can hear you, yes.
Yes, sorry about that. I try study hyperfocus this week.
Yes.
And 110 page. But I can't. I study only 18 page. 8 page. 18.
Hey, that's fine. I mean, was it because the book was hard or just didn't have time or what happened?
I tried, yeah, each page have about between 10 which new vocabulary for me.
Yes.
And some sentence I studied 2 and 3 times, but I don't understand what's this sentence, main of this sentence.
I'm thinking of Irina. We were talking about this earlier in the semester with Irina, is that I'm that type of student in Spanish too. But remember, my #1 reading strategy, you don't have to understand every single word. Because if in our second language, third language, if we're stopping at every word we don't know, we're gonna stop a lot. So again, but that said, Nasser, there's no right or wrong way to do it, you know. I don't know, you know, I really believe, I really honestly believe that going slow through 10 pages, that's just as good as going fast. You know what I mean? Like you have to figure out where you are, what works for you, what is the learning that you want for yourself. So yeah.
Sorry, I think the authors repeat one meaning again, again. You
Yeah.
know?
Welcome to English academic writing, Nasser. You say the same thing 20
Oh,
different
yeah.
in a different way. Wait until you go to 340 or you're writing a research paper. Students are always like, especially with the conclusion, students are like, why do I have to say, I already said this on page 1. And I was like, yes, but you know, this style of writing is you
Mhm.
just say the same thing many times.
Yes, okay.
You are not, so you're exactly correct. Hey, Liz,
Hey,
what's up?
I'm good.
Cool, that's good. Well, maybe we should just go. We only have 6.
As usual. Why
I
not?
said to Gloria, we're done. I'm done. I feel like all the students are done. My joke, I already said it to Gloria, but I feel like my joke is doing Zoom school is like dog years. Like it's like 1 week feels like a week and a half or like 2 weeks. So since we've done 10 weeks, a week and a half, that's 15 weeks. That's how long a semester is. So we should be done. We should be done now. Yeah, we'll see. Cool. Well, let's get started. I have, so like I said, I think you'll be happy that you chose to be here. You're not going to have to listen to me too much today. You'll just get to practice some of the ideas that we've been talking about. And hopefully they'll help you, with, like Nasser's saying, with your reading as you go through, as you continue to read through Hyperfocus. Or if you didn't read Hyperfocus, these things happen. We'll talk about some of the most important ideas that I want you to focus on from the book. So let me start to share my screen. Here is what we are doing. It's November 12th, and it is very good to see all 6 of you. So I've got a short warm-up activity. I'll put you in groups. We'll just do 2 groups again. And then today's really going to be a writing workshop day. So hopefully you're at your laptop, or even if you're not at your laptop, you have a piece of paper, something that you can write on. So I do want you to have, yeah, we're going to write. So make sure after the warm-up you have, you know, you're on your laptop, you've got a Word document open, or you've got something that you can type on and write in. And then I'll tell you what's coming up. So here's the warm-up that I do want you to talk about, just non-class stuff for a few minutes. Then we'll come back and I'll tell you what we're going to do today. But I'll put you in groups and I want you to just talk to your groups about these 2 questions and anything else you want to talk about. 1, what is one goal you still have for yourself this semester? 2, what is something you are doing to take care of yourself and your family, or your family, something you're doing to take care of yourself, something that is not about school. I'm asking about this for your real life. Okay, so write these 2 questions down, take a picture, whatever. Sapida and Ruba came in. Good to see you guys. So we've got 8 people today instead of just 6. So I'll give you guys 10 minutes for the warm-up, talk to each other, say hey, and then we'll come back and we'll start our writing workshop. Cool? Sound good? If yes, give me thumbs up. Gracias, spasiba. Thank you. Salam. I don't know how to say thank you in Farsi. I'm gonna put you in groups here. Give me 1 second. Create 2 breakout rooms. Automatically assign. Great, rooms are opening. I'll see you guys in 10 minutes.
桌上，客厅桌上近的，这一起的。Sorry, I was late.
No problem. We're in small groups. I'll send you and they'll sort of tell you. We're just warming up. We haven't started with summary and response stuff yet. So we're just sort of talking to each other. I'll send you to one of the groups.
Uh,
Or do you need anything before you go?
no. Oh, okay.
Okay, cool.
Thank
And
you.
we'll come back. I'll see you in 5 minutes and then we're gonna do, yeah, they'll tell you what we're doing. I'll send you to room 2.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, we're all back. Before we get started for today, I'm curious, so you don't have to, but did anyone share or want to share that first question? What is a goal you still have for this semester? I'd love to hear if you did share. And I'll just say for myself, one goal I still have for this semester personally is learning from this semester how to be better in the spring. This is something I'm thinking about a lot, is like what works right now, what's not working right now, and how can I make it better for you guys and for myself in the spring. So that's a big goal I still have. I think it's hard to know because the semester's not over, but thinking about how to change for the spring is a big goal I still have personally. So anybody want to share what they talked about? I'm just curious.
Honestly, I kind of have a similar goal. Like right now, I heard that tomorrow they're gonna shut down the stores, the gyms over again. I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, how am I gonna live the next year without concentrating on those things, stupid masks and quarantine, all that stuff that just stresses you too much. Like trying to get rid of that and to think on how to live better without concentrating on those minor things that can just make your day down.
Love it. I appreciate that, Liz. Thank you. Rubo, that's great. Rubo, were you going to say something?
Yes, I just want to say you are a meticulous teacher.
Meticulous?
Yes.
Rubo, what does meticulous mean?
It's a good word.
Thank you. For people who don't know this word, I'll put it in the chat if you don't know the word.
Well organized, have ideas, great ideas, work good. Something
Very
like
kind, Ruba. I love it.
Like scrupulous, that the person who loves details in something.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, it's very. I love the way you're using it. You guys have
well organized person.
that is comforting because I feel very insecure about being organized online right now, if I'm honest. But you guys know probably, you hear me use this word a lot. I put it in the chat too. Thoughtful. Thoughtful is one of my favorite words because, you know, especially when I was younger, when I was a kid, sometimes people would be like, Jeff, you think too much, you think too much, you think too much. And sometimes it's true. I do think too much. But I do think about this job and I think about you guys and I think about how to do this job a lot and how to be better and make it better. So that when you say meticulous, Ruba, it makes me think of that word thoughtful. So I appreciate it, Ruba. Thank you. Ruba, do you have a goal for the rest of the semester?
No.
Finish, just be done. I'm so lucky that I got to work with Ruba twice. Anybody else? I see Ting's playing with those filters. That's awesome.
Sorry, I tried to get the background back, but I couldn't find it.
Ting, you guys do whatever you want. I mean, I'm with Liz. Like everything's going to shut down again. The virus is worse than it's ever been in our country. It's just crazy right now. You know, we're all doing our best. Have fun. It's all good. Does anybody have a goal they want to share before we
Survive.
It's your last chance to survive. Amen and hallelujah. Oh my God.
I want to live without fear.
Inshallah. Oh my God. I think I'll never live without fear. But yeah, a little less fear would be good. A little less fear would be good. Yeah. I love it. So Liz is saying how to like balance real life with school, and Gloria is saying live without fear. And yeah, anybody else? Those all sound good to me. They make sense to me.
Don't give up and keep studying.
You want to say a little bit more? Do you want to give up?
No, I don't want to give up and want to keep studying.
Good. Are you, so yeah, exactly. Yeah, how not to give up. And I think this is the last thing I'll say about this. And I encourage you guys to think about this too. Okay, don't give up, not give up, right? Like, you know, I'm going to have Zoom meetings for the rest of the semester for this class, right? We're still going to do stuff, but I mean, how much should we expect from ourselves, right? How much should your other teachers expect from you? How much should I expect from you? These are, to me, again, I don't know, because we've never done this before. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a weird balance. It's like, how do you not give up, but also I just have to accept, like, it's different. Everything's different. And I feel like it's harder, and therefore, like, I have less energy and space and time, or people with kids at home. I mean, oh my God, you know what I mean? So I like that, Olga. Yeah, don't give up, but also accept reality. It's tricky. That's a tough one, at least for Jeff. That's a tough one. Cool. Well, thank you. You know me, I always like to hear about you as human beings way more than as essays. So it's good to hear from you guys. So let's talk about what we're going to do today. We are going to do some stuff for this class. We are not giving up, Gloria. We are not giving up. So just a friendly reminder, quick review of what we talked about last week. So remember, we're talking about summary and response. I do want to show you in Canvas as well. I changed the modules page a little bit. So I got thinking about how to make next semester better. I got rid of the units. I just put all the lessons in order, 1 through 18, in one big module. And then I also have one big module called summary and response, where all of the resources, activities, and all that kind of stuff for summary and response is there. There's 2 things that I added that I want to show you, or maybe just one actually. Yeah, for now, I added a link called Academic English Reporting Verbs. I think I mentioned this last week, but I didn't actually show it to you guys. So this is a really great website with examples, and this will help you when you go to English 300 or go to 340. I highly recommend you go to 340. We can talk about the spring next week and the week after. Well, the week after is Thanksgiving, but these are examples of English reporting verbs that you will, academic English reporting verbs that you will use in the summary paragraph here. Or when you're writing a research paper and you're talking about what someone else did. So these are things like acknowledged. Mr. Lee acknowledged the limitations, or added. The anthropology professor added. These are all different ways of saying instead of the verb say, right? Because if you think about hyperfocus, right, he talks about lots of different studies and scientists. Well, we'll look at an example of this, but it's not just, Dr. blah, blah, blah said, Dr. blah, blah, blah said, Dr. blah, blah, blah said. We get this variety of academic English verbs, right? So these are things like argued, asserted, attributed. You get lots of, yes, exactly. You see it, Ruba. Discussed, welcomed, wondered, thought, spoke, stressed. I love this page because you get the list and then they give you really good and helpful examples of how to use this verb in these type of sentences, okay? So I wanted to show you that I put that link into the module. And yeah, just remind you guys that all of the stuff, whether you're here in class with me right now or you're watching the recording, all of the stuff that I showed that I put on the screen in last week's Zoom, that's all here under this summary and response module. Okay, so including that chapter 12, the textbook that we read through and highlighted and all that different stuff. So all of the resources, everything you ever want to know, or maybe don't want to know about summary and response writing is here on this module. Any questions about this before?
I have a question.
Ruba, please.
On lesson 17,
yes.
Summary, the article hasn't number 2, number
yes,
number 5, number 9.
Yes.
I can't see it, but from the talking or from
here?
Yes, I can't see the point number 2 and point number 5 and 9.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that instead of, I should have fixed this, Ruba, thank you. Let me change, I forget, Liz or someone else was telling me, or someone else the other week was saying that the PDF, it doesn't look good.
I concluded from the talk, so yeah. I put my own word.
I'll just put the link to the article instead of the PDF. I think it'll be easier to read online. So let me do this real quick. Because yeah, you were not the only student who had that issue. Thank you, Ruba. And I'll put this in modules too. I think you're right. It just looks better. Great, so I'm going to delete this one. Cool. So now that link to the article there is just underneath that academic English reporting verbs one as well. Thank you, Ruba. Cool. Any other? Yes, Nasser, please.
Yes, I want to say thank you, Professor. Because I study your summary and response. I learned a lot about it. It will be very, very useful for me.
Good. And today we'll get to practice. Yeah. So I know last week I did talk a lot. So I think, and today I should say, really for the rest of the semester, I think we're just going to practice this skill. I don't I'm not giving up, but I don't think we need to try and learn, we don't need to do a whole new type of writing. I think if the summary and response is starting to make sense and understand it, then I think we just need to practice it. So thank you, Nasser, for saying so. I'm glad that it makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question, sorry.
Yeah.
For lesson 17, should we add our response today?
No, don't worry about that. The idea for lesson 17 was to force you, to make you practice summarizing before you practice the response. So don't worry about doing summary and response. That's what we're going to start doing now.
Yeah, because I found out if we do this for summarize, then how could it be over 500 words? Because it's a summary. It should be shorter.
Well, that's true. Yes, that's generally speaking, that's true. But for this assignment, yeah, so that's a great transition, Ting. Because if I look at my slide here that I made for us, you're absolutely correct. For both of these, summary, so here's information about the summary. We'll talk about it more. But for both of them, I said usually it's no more than 2 paragraphs, 200 to 400 words. Now, this is true for us, you guys. This is true for ESL 325. This will be true for W340. This will be true for probably even English Writing 300. But remember, like I said, this is a whole book, right? This dude, the author, Chris Bailey, he's summarizing, hundreds of research articles. So it's not as if every summary ever written in English is only a paragraph, right? Like you can write very, very long summaries, but for us in this class, 325, 340, 300, usually you won't have to write super, super long summaries. But again, if you're going to go get a bachelor's degree, if you're going to get a master's degree in the US and you have to write a 10-page research paper, I mean, you might take it might have 3 or 4 paragraphs to summarize a whole book that you read for the research paper. Does that make sense, Ting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mean for a book to summary for a long article, or I mean 17, lesson 17.
I think maybe you brought this up last time too. I still think that article is long enough. That is a long article. I don't think 500 words is too much. I think that's what I think. If you think 500 is too much and you submit 400 words and you get all the main points, that works for me too. But when I put 500 words, Ting, I am sort of asking you, I'm pushing you a little bit, right? Like, how much can you do? That's kind of the intention there too. Because there are a lot of ideas in the article, like we talked about last week, right? Last week, I think, 2 weeks ago. Go back and watch the video. Other questions? Yes, Sapida.
And there are 11 tips on that on lesson 17, and you said they are details. Is it necessary to put all of them in our summary or no?
I'll ask the group. What do you guys think? Is it necessary, or even can you include all 11 tips in your summary?
If we don't add, it's not become 500 words.
Well, okay, I disagree, but that's fine. I think I saw Liz and Gloria going, yeah, the point of a summary is to focus on the main ideas. So you can't include you can't, right? If you include every tip, It's not a summary. So, but Sapida, if you say, I can't get to 500 words, then fine. Just give me what you got. Send me what you got. Yeah. Like I said, you guys know me. Sometimes I think students, I make students feel crazy because I don't like the idea that there's one perfect right answer here. I think, like I said, you heard my goal with that lesson is to push you to see how much you can write while trying to follow the rules for a summary, right? But if you do your best and you're like, oh my God, Jeff, I only have 400 words, then okay, I'm not, that's fine with me.
If I add 11 tips and I wrote for each a summary, it became 500 words.
I definitely don't want that. I do not want that, because then you're learning that's not summarizing. Do you know what I mean, Sepeda? So I'd rather you don't do that and it's short, because including all 11 tips is not summarizing. Make sense?
Yeah, I want to tell you that, but the paragraph is too small. If I paraphrase that, maybe it's become 500 words. If I paraphrase, it's not a summary. What should I do? I'm confused. I don't know. What should I do?
Stop thinking. You're like me. You're thinking too much. Just do it. Just do something, send it, and just do your best and send it in. Because again, anyway, now we're just getting into full on Jeff's philosophy about teaching, right? The point is to do it. You only learn by doing it. You don't learn by thinking about what should I do, what's right and what's wrong. No, I mean, who cares? But when you will learn is when you read the article and you sit down and start typing. So just do your best, Abida. Again, everybody who's here, you're here because you're hardworking students and you care a lot, right? So just do your best and it'll be fine. And don't worry, because I'll give you the points. I don't care about, you guys know that too. I don't care about grades. Who cares?
When I first summarized it, it became 120 words. And then I think about 500. I changed my mind, and I think I should put some details. I should paraphrase some paragraph, and it was very hard for me, and I didn't submit it yet.
That's all good. Let's meet in the middle then, Sapida, or anybody watching on the video. I asked 500. You started with 120. Let's meet in the middle at 300. You can definitely get to 300. Even before the tips, there's a lot of deep, complex ideas in those paragraphs before the tips. I promise you can get to 300 words.
Mm-hmm.
She looks suspicious.
That's 600 words.
How many, Liz?
600.
Yeah. So again, that's because everybody's on a different place on the path, right? Everybody's at a different place on this path of their learning, right? Not just do you know a verb tense, but how much practice do you have? We're all in different places. So Liz writes 600. That's great. Sapila, you write 120 and I say push it. Go to 300. Don't worry about 500. Yeah?
Okay.
She still looks suspicious. But remember, I think usually like Gloria was saying, a life without fear. I think usually what makes students afraid in a class is the grade, right? And I'm doing my best, especially in crazy COVID pandemic times, to make that not scary. No due dates. Professor Jeff's loving and kind grading. You guys know, if you guys do the work, you're gonna pass the class. Do you know what I mean? So I try to lower fear by saying don't worry about the grade too much, Sabina. Just do your best.
Okay, thank you.
Sometimes I feel like a sports coach in this Zoom class, in online learning. I'm just like, you can do it. It's gonna be good. But I believe it. I'm not lying about it. I'm not faking it. I think it's good. Everybody needs someone to tell them they can do it. It's important. It's really important. Any other questions about lessons or anything before we get going? Okay, I'm gonna get going because I do want to make you, like Sapida is saying, we're talking about writing right now, right? It's sometimes it feels hard to write 500 words. So I think we should just practice a little bit. So just quick review about summary and response. So remember, a summary written in your own words. The summary uses the third person singular pronoun, the author, he, she, they. You're going to use those academic English reporting verbs. Just to use the example of hyperfocus, right? Bailey argued, Bailey suggested, Bailey claimed, Bailey said, Bailey proved, Bailey whatever. right? Third person singular, and then use those reporting verbs that I showed you in Canvas. Focus only on the main idea. So don't include all 11 tips. Leave out specific details and examples. It must be shorter than the original. You may word for word quote 2 or 3 very important key words, right? We talked about that in a couple different examples. So if you need to include a really important vocabulary in quotes, that's fine. And usually for our class, for 340, no more than 2 paragraphs, 200 to 400 words, usually. Unless Jeff is being a monster and he's trying to make you write 500 words. And then the response is written in your own words as well. You're using the first person pronoun, I, we. You're writing about your own personal response to the book or the chapter or the article. So to do that, you talk about your personal connection to the book, chapter, or article. And then if you remember looking at, I think I've got this open. Yes. If you look at the details about summary and response here from chapter 12, remember the 2 main types of response writing are agree or disagree, right? Okay, in the article, Bailey said, blah, 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 blah. I agree because, I disagree because, that's one, agree or disagree. Or you can do an evaluation and analysis. So you explain why you agree or disagree, or evaluate the quality of the book, chapter, or the article. Now, again, I'll tell you, as you start to think about research writing, as you start to think about W340, as you start to think about, a bachelor's degree, evaluating the quality is a really valuable skill. So many students at 325 level, you're going to start with agree or disagree. That's a great place to start, okay? That's totally appropriate. And as you start to do more and longer academic writing, I want you to just start to think like, can you evaluate? Can you assess the quality of a source, right? Because if you're searching for an article and you find an article on a topic you want to write about, not all articles are the same quality. So can you start to explain why, this article, some article is a good example of writing, or this article is not really good. The research isn't clear. There's not a good main idea, whatever. So again, agree. Oh, I'll show it on this page. A response that agrees or disagrees with the reading, or a response that does evaluation and analysis of the article. And again, usually no more than 2 paragraphs or so 200 to 400 words. So what we're going to do now is practice this. But again, any questions about summary and response from last week, or like Nasser was saying, some of the resources were really helpful, which is great. But does anyone have any questions that they thought of on their own or from last week about what is a summary and what is a response before we practice a little bit today? Let's practice. So here's what we're going to do. So we're going to go to page 65. So if you have your book, go ahead and get out your book. I'm also going to read some of this, but I want to explain what we're doing first, and then we'll get going. So here's what we're doing. We're going to start on page 65, and we're going to read through page 68. So that's from the header, How to Set Stronger Intentions. That's there on 65. And to page 68, Starting a Hyperfocus Ritual. So we're going to read between those 2 headers. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to read or reread these pages. I'm going to read through it together the first time. Then I want you to write right now in this writing workshop, 150 to 200 word summary of these pages, and then write a 200 to 250 word response to these pages. Now, I'm going to put you in your small groups when you do this. So you can turn your video off. You can do whatever you want. You're going to have 30 minutes to do this. Then in your group, I'm going to give you 10 minutes after you've written to talk to each other, ask questions. If you want to, you can share some of what you wrote. And then before we finish, I'm going to bring all of us back together. And I would really love for people to share their screens if they're typing in a Word document so that we can look at 1 or 2 examples of what people did during this writing workshop and talk about what was good, what was bad, what could we fix. So that's what I want you to do. But before I put you back in your small groups and give you those 30 minutes to write by yourself, I do want to read through, I'm going to read through these pages out loud one time, focusing on making sure that you understand some of the main ideas before you start writing. So before I read this though, any questions about what I'm asking you to do today? Liz says no, Gloria says no. Cool. Yes, Mohammed.
You write it on a notebook than typing it on a computer?
You can,
And
yeah, absolutely,
electronic
Mohammed.
file?
If you want to write by hand, that is totally fine with me, Mohammed.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
If you, like I said, though, if people do choose to type on their laptops or computers, I would love to look at student examples if you're willing, if people are willing. Obviously, you know, Mohammed, if you're writing on paper, that's all good. That is all good. Okay, so then again, just to focus on understanding, because remember, you can't summarize something that you don't understand. I'm going to start reading. Please read along with me. You can just listen. You can follow along on your page, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to start reading here on page 65, where it says how to set stronger intentions. Salud, bless you, Liz. All right. So starting on page 65. All right, how to set stronger intentions. Over the last few decades, Peter Gollwitzer has been one of the most renowned contributors to the field of intention. He's perhaps best known for his groundbreaking research on the importance of not only setting intentions, but also making them very specific. While we often achieve our vague intentions, specific intentions greatly increase our odds of overall success. Let's say, for example, you rushed to set your personal intentions this morning and came up with this list. 1, go to the gym. 2, quit working when I get home. 3, go to bed by a reasonable time. I've deliberately made these intentions vague, but how can we make them more specific and likely to stick? First, it's worth considering how effective these intentions are as I've formulated them. They will certainly prove to be more effective than doing nothing. In fact, Gollwitzer's research discovered that even vague intentions like these boost your odds of successfully carrying them out by about 20 to 30%. So if you're lucky, you might cross another 1 or 2 off the list. Not bad. Setting more specific intentions, however, does something remarkable. It makes our odds of success much higher. In one study, Gollwitzer and his research colleague, Veronica Brandstetter, asked participants to set an intention to complete a difficult goal over Christmas break, such as completing a term paper, finding a new apartment, or settling a conflict with a significant other. Some students set vague intentions, while others set what Gollwitzer calls an, quote, implementation intention, end quote. As he explains the term, quote, make a very detailed plan on how you want to achieve what you want to achieve. What I'm arguing in my research is that goals need plans, ideally plans that include when, where, and which kind of action to move towards the goal, end quote. In other words, if a student's vague goal was to, quote, find an apartment during Christmas break, his implementation intention could be, quote, I will hunt for apartments on Craigslist and email 3 apartment landlords in the weeks leading up to Christmas. Comparing Gollwitzer and Brandstetter's 2 participant groups is where things get interesting. A remarkable 62% of students who set a specific implementation intention followed through on their goals. The group that did not set an implementation intention fared a lot more poorly, following through on their original intention a third as often, a paltry 22% of the time. This effect, which subsequent studies validated further, was positively staggering. Setting specific intentions can double or triple your odds of success. With that in mind, let's quickly turn my 3 vague intentions into implementation intentions. 1, go to the gym becomes schedule and go to the gym on my lunch break. 2, quit working when I get home is reframed as put my work phone on airplane mode and my laptop in another room and stay disconnected for the evening. 3, get to bed by a reasonable time becomes set a bedtime alarm for 10 p.m. and when it goes off, start winding down. Implementation intentions are powerful in much the same way as habits. When you begin a habit, your brain carries out the rest of the sequence largely on autopilot. Once you have a game plan for an implementation intention, when you encounter the environmental cue to initiate it, your lunch break rolls around, you get home from a stressful day at work, or your bedtime alarm goes off, you subconsciously get the ball rolling to accomplish your goals. Your intentions take almost no effort to initiate. As Goldwitzer and Brandstetter put it, action initiation becomes swift, efficient, and does not require conscious intent. In other words, we begin to act toward our goal automatically. Goldwitzer told me that the intentions do not necessarily have to be precise if they are specific enough for a person to understand and identify the situational cues. Quote, we did studies with tennis players and they made plans on how they want to respond with the problems that might come up in the game. Some of the tennis players were specifying when I get irritated or when I get nervous. This is not very specific or concrete, but it worked brilliantly because they knew what they meant with nervous. Specific means the person can identify the critical situation, end quote. Now, there are two notable caveats to setting specific intentions. First, you have to actually care about your intentions. Implementation intentions don't work nearly as well for goals that don't especially matter to you or that you've long abandoned. If you had a goal in the 1990s to amass the world's largest collections of Furbies, you'll probably be a lot less motivated to achieve that goal today. Second, easy to accomplish intentions don't have to be as specific. Deciding in advance when you'll work on a task is significantly more important for a difficult one than when your intention is to do something simple. If it's the weekend and your intention is to go to the gym at least once, you don't need to be as definite about when you'll do so. If you're trying to accomplish something more challenging though, like saying no to dessert at the restaurant on Saturday, setting a more specific intention is essential. That vague intention can become more specific by planning. When you see the dessert menu, to politely decline and treat yourself to a decaf coffee instead. This caveat works well for intentions at home, but when Monday rolls around, you may need to again set more thoughtful intentions. Quote, when the goals are tough, or when you have so many goals that it's hard to attain them all, that's when planning works particularly well, Goldwitzer adds. Okay. So you're going to get 30 minutes, right? And if we need more time, we can do that. You're going to get 30 minutes by yourself, but let's just do a discussion about this since it's small before I put you in groups and you get to, turn off your screen and start working. Let's talk about what I just read. Does it make sense? What's clear? What's not clear? What's the main idea? These are some of the things we want to be doing when we realize we're going to do it, even a short, 100-word summary and response. So does this idea make sense? And actually, let me put it this way. I'll just be very simple. We read about 3 pages. What's the main idea?
How to set stronger intentions.
Say it again.
How to set stronger intentions.
So Liz is a very smart, again, this is a very good and effective reading strategy. Like I told you with any book, right? Headers give you important information. Bullet points give you important information. Graphs and pictures, the data pictures that we looked at last week, that is saying like, hey, here's something important. So yes, so Liz already talked first. So someone who's not Liz, what does Bailey mean by stronger here? It's not because what makes a strong intention? That's an idea that we don't get from the header. So what does stronger mean, Gloria?
Specific.
Good. Gloria says specific. Liz, what were you going to say?
More effective.
Good. More effective, stronger,
Productive.
more specific. Good. And Ruba, did you have one?
Productive.
Productive. Good. So this whole section is about how to set stronger, more effective, more productive intentions. And how do we make our intentions stronger? Well, like Gloria said, make them more specific, right? Anybody else? What's another really important, a main idea or main idea number 2? Ruba, what you got?
Do a list for what you want to do.
Good. Now Ruba is talking about how to do that, right? So remember, I said, what's the main idea? I agree. The main idea of these 3 pages is make your intentions specific. And then Ruba's saying another part that's connected to that is he's explaining how to do this, right? Absolutely. Thank you, Ruba. And now we'll just do another sort of main idea thing. How do we do it? What does he suggest for how to make? Yes, Mohammed.
Do the planning and set the goals.
Good. Do your planning, set the goals. I love it. And this goes back to Gloria too, and be specific when you're doing that. Yeah, Gloria, please.
Implementate intention.
Yeah, what page are you on?
66.
Good. 66. Which paragraph?
Second, specific implementation intention.
Good, yes. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down. Some students set a vague intention, while others set what Goldwitzer calls an implementation intention. Now, the other thing you'll start to notice as you reread this and get ready to write here, in a certain way, you guys, why I love this book so much is these pages are giving you an example of what summarizing is, right? Because he talks about this researcher, Goldwitzer, right? These aren't just Chris Bailey, the author of this book's ideas. He's summarizing someone else's ideas in these pages, right? He probably read a book or 2 books or 3 books or a research study or something written by Goldwitzer, and he's summarizing that information for us. Now, this is a longer book, so he does give us long quotes, right? So that's different than what I'm asking you to do. But even as you review these pages, start summarizing someone else's main ideas, right? And just like I was saying, in a summary, you use the 3rd person pronouns. He does that, right? He says, the author says this, the researchers found that. He does some of that. So, yeah. My internet is unstable. Can you guys still hear me? Okay, good. I don't know if I had robot voice. Does that make sense? How even in this book or any research article, I mean, summarizing is like, it's just so important, you guys. You'll do it forever. Any writing that you ever do in a college class has some amount of summarizing. So I love this book for a lot of reasons. The ideas are interesting. I think they can help us in our daily life. But even just the way that he summarizes other people's ideas is really helpful. So as you're rereading, I hope that you start to notice some of those things. Good. So the main idea is what? How to set better intentions, how to make more specific intentions. How do you do that is to make an implementation plan so you be more specific, right? So what, and I'll say one more question before I set you free to write. What kind of specific information is helpful? Irina, you're muted. I see you talking, but I can't hear you.
Sorry. My or your intention has to be important for you.
As usual, Irina has this is my #1 philosophy as a teacher. If students don't care about the learning, it doesn't matter. Then it's 100% over, like anything. And I think in school, I'm thinking of Gloria talking about her chemistry test. I know that students care about chemistry tests, but now sometimes they care about chemistry because they truly love it. It means a lot to them. But I think a lot of the times for students, it's like, I care about my grade. Now, that's a very stressful way to go through life. It's like, well, I don't really care about this class, but I care about the grade. That sucks. That just sucks. That's not fun learning. So anyway, meaningful, important learning or goals matter. I agree completely, Irina. I completely agree. So how to make your intentions more specific? Make them meaningful. Absolutely. I think the other thing I was going to add is, this is like Mohammed was saying, include days and time. You know what I mean? Be specific about the date, the number of hours. Like he's saying, if you know your goals for a Monday when you have 3 classes might be different than your goals for a weekend if you have more time. You know what I mean? Or your goals if you are at home alone with your kids might be different if you can drop your kids off with your parents so that it's just you by yourself. You know what I mean? Like how specific just changes on, you know, the moment, on reality, on the circumstances. So I think he's sort of encouraging us to be aware of that, right? Just like language too, context is everything. Context is everything. Absolutely. So I think we've got some of the main idea. Let's just, again, I feel like I'm preparing your brains to start writing here. So let's switch to the response now. Agree, disagree, like it, don't like it, convincing, if you evaluate the argument. Remember, response is agree or disagree, or analyze and evaluate the argument. Let's just hear a little bit about your responses before you write about them. What do you guys think about this?
Oh, like this is effective.
Liz says, so you agree with this. And remember, in response writing, agree and disagree is perfect. Tell me you agree or disagree. And then usually it's best to connect that to something personal. So can you think of an example from your own experience, Liz, where agree or disagree and connect that to your own experience?
Oh yeah, for sure. So let's say if I don't set up my own deadlines, again, I start procrastinating because I'm like, I know that like, oh, probably I still got enough time to do this and that. But then when I set my own goals, telling myself that you won't have any more time, this is the right time to do it right now, like pushing myself.
Love it. Okay, good. Liz is talking about deadlines or due dates, and I would say it's sort of like internal, our own internal goals and due dates, and then external, right? Like you have to, you must. Yeah, absolutely. Good. Anybody else agree or disagree or evaluate? Oh, good. Maybe the response is the thing you need more time for, so that's fine. Cool. Well, unless people have questions or ideas, I'm going to put you back in your groups. I'm going to give you guys 30 minutes. And I'll say this, I'm thinking of Ting and Safi, that if you feel like 30 minutes is not enough time to do summary and response, that's fine. But if you really want to practice just the response, start with the response. If you really want to practice summarizing, start with the summary. That's fine. But I want you to really take the 30 minutes, reread, and write something. And you know, if you feel like you're comfortable with both, then try to write a little bit of both. So remember, I'm not giving you a specific word count here. I'm saying if you want to keep it short, keep it short. If you want to go long, go long. It's all good. But I want to give you guys 30 minutes by yourself to practice summary and response writing just about these pages that we read and talked about. Make sense? And then, like I said, I hope someone will be brave and be willing to share their screen so that we can look at an example of your student writing, because I think that would be very, very, very helpful. So unless there are questions, I'm going to put you back in your groups, give you guys 30 minutes, and then check in and see how you're doing. Cool? And I'll be here. If you guys have questions or want to, I'll be in the main room. So if you do need anything, I'll be here and just come back in the main room and I'll help you out if you need it, okay? All right, breakout rooms are opening. I'll set a 30-minute timer. And you know what I'm going to say? Have fun. I might be crazy, but I think this is fun. Okay, rooms are open. if you're watching this video on your own, I was just going to sort of type silently, but I realized it might be helpful to narrate sort of what I'm doing as well. So I said in the lecture materials, small details and examples don't really belong in the summary, right? That belongs much more in the response section. Well, when I started typing my summary, I included this example of go to the gym is too vague. But if you say something specific like go to the gym Thursday afternoon between 2 and 4, then that's an example of how to make a more specific goal. Now, that idea of how to make specific goals does feel important, but of course, like I said, it is an example, so it doesn't really belong perfectly in the summary section. That's why you saw that I typed it up here and then I just moved it down the page. And then I said, okay, I'm going to include that in the response. I want to talk about that a little bit in this assignment, but it doesn't really belong in the summary section. So that's what you just saw me do. And I highly recommend that for people who are learning how to type longer documents on Microsoft Word or in Google Docs. We're so lucky that we get to write research papers in 2020. Think about, I think about my mom when she told me that when she was writing papers, she had to use a typewriter, right? So it's just so much easier to be writing in a computer where you can copy and paste and move. So don't be afraid to, move your words around your page. It's a great benefit of being able to do things in a word processor. So I'm going to go back to typing and I'll keep narrating and I'll explain more as I do this. But yeah, so I noticed I put the people in small groups, 9 minutes ago. I'm looking at my timer here. And I've already got in my summary about 45 words, right? And for this activity, I'm asking you to get to 150 to 200 words. So that feels about right. So again, I'm gonna mute myself and go back to typing, and then I'll talk more about what I'm doing Now, what you were seeing me do there is, this is another way that I tend to write when I'm writing is, if I get something that looks like a paragraph, and I'm just going to do a quick word count here. So I'm highlighting the text. And if I look down here at the bottom of Microsoft Word, this is 150 words right here. So I get something that kind of looks like a paragraph, or it looks like most of the idea I want to capture, the idea that I want to communicate in my writing. Well, then I usually sort of go back to the beginning of the paragraph and start to read through it. So you see me changing some words. I change talks to writes. Then I go back and sort of look at my sentences individually. This is something that I learned to do. It took a long time to learn. But when I'm writing, the first sort of time that I'm writing down an idea, I don't really care too much about the word choice that I'm doing. I really want to make sure that I know what I want to say. Like, I'm almost writing to understand the thing I'm writing about first. And then of course that means it's going to be messy. It's not going to be perfect, right? So that's why after a few minutes, now I'm just checking my timer here. Now it's been 15 minutes since I started the small groups that people have been working. So after about 15 minutes of just sort of, I'm just getting words out, then I'll go back, start to look at it, start to tweak and make little changes. And that's kind of what I'm doing now. So again, it's been 15 minutes. I know that for this activity, right, I have 15 more minutes, so I'm going to move on to the response. That's probably going to be easier because it's just my opinion. There's much less right and wrong in that one. And maybe I won't have as much time to do the response. That's fine, but I'm choosing to focus on the summary now. So I'm going to keep sort of editing the sentences and making sure that these ideas are clear, and then seeing if I want to add or change anything. Then I'm going to go on to the response. So that's what I'm doing now. So another thing just happened as I was typing. I realized that I'm focused on the main idea here, right? The main idea of these pages is definitely effective goals, how to set effective goals, how to make a specific implementation intention, specific, right? But then there is this important thing that happens on page 67, which I hadn't really gone back to reread too much. But on 67, we get information about why that works, right? And there's this idea about the autopilot. And again, autopilot is definitely a big and important idea because in the first chapters of the book, you know, and we talked about this last week, autopilot and habit is a big part of what focus looks like and what focus is. So again, that just sort of happened as I was typing. Like I said, I feel like sometimes I'm writing in order to understand what I want to say. And when that happens, then I get like a little ping, like light bulb going off, like, oh yeah, I need to talk about autopilot. So I found a place to put that in the text here. So that's why I changed again. So you saw, first I was writing. Then I went back and started making little small edits, small changes to the specific sentence as well. As I was doing that, when I am making those small changes to the sentences, then I remember just sort of, for me, it feels natural, but of course you're still learning, so don't worry. But again, this is what happens. This is what actually happens when you're writing. When you're making those smaller changes, then it's like, oh yeah, I wanted to include this other idea, or I wanted to talk about this other thing that I didn't talk about yet. So anyway, that was what I just did. That was what I just did. And now I just did a quick time check. So it's been over 20 minutes. I only have 9 minutes. So again, if my goal was to do both the summary and the response in 30 minutes, well, maybe I won't get that goal, right? Clearly, I've spent more time on the summary and I chose to do that. So that's fine, you know, it's fine. So I'm going to finish this up and then maybe read through it for you guys as well. So I'm going to mute again. All right, I'm unmuting again. If I highlight these, I decided to break this into 2 paragraphs. Now we could do, you know, we could do 1 long paragraph, that's fine. But I do think I put a new paragraph here because there is sort of a change in idea happening here. So that's where I would do it if it were my assignment. So here's what I came up with in 20 minutes and 231 words. Now, again, I know I'm cheating. I'm a native English speaker and I've been in, you know, working as a grad student and a college professor for, you know, a long time. But just to show you sort of how I do it, I don't expect you to do it, but I think it like this right now. But I really do think it's helpful to see how people do it. So here's what I came up with. In this section of chapter 3, Bailey writes about how people can set more powerful goals and then get them done more effectively. He does this by discussing research conducted by Peter Gollwitzer, who argues that specific intentions make it much more likely that people will actually be successful in accomplishing their goals. Bailey then gives many specific examples of how to make general intentions into more specific implementation intentions. Specific implementation plans are helpful because, like habits, they help the brain go into autopilot mode. Autopilot mode can help people because it makes things feel easier when it is time to do the work needed to accomplish the goals. At the end of these pages, Bailey also says that there are two very important things to keep in mind when creating effective intentions. First, it is important to genuinely care about the goal. So if a person's goal is to get a 100% grade on an essay, but they don't really care about improving their writing, then it will be very difficult to create an effective implementation intention. Further, if a goal is easy to accomplish, then it might not be necessary to create a very specific implementation plan. Bailey concludes this section by suggesting that specific implementation intentions are most helpful. That was a subject verb error, Jeff. Are most helpful when goals are very difficult or there are many different goals taking up a person's attentional space. Great. Now, again, for me, I don't know how you guys feel about this, if it looks good to you, but for me, when I look at this, I would say this is clearly for Jeff, for my level, a first draft. I don't think the writing is particularly beautiful. I think it's mostly clear, but I don't think the sentences are great. I would definitely make some stylistic edits to my sentences here. But I do feel like, honestly, in just over 20 minutes, I feel like I got the most important ideas from the writing done. I got them in there. And again, I'm looking at the clock and it's 4 minutes. So again, be honest, know yourself, right? Like right now I could stress myself out and be like, oh my God, I should come up with something to show you guys in 4 minutes and I need to start typing a response. You know, if you only have 30 minutes to spend on homework or on an assignment, this is what I did in 30 minutes and I'm okay with it, right? I know, okay, now I need to set aside another 30 minutes, right? I have to be realistic about what I can get done in a specific amount of time. So I'm gonna leave that here. And I'm going to post this example that I just came up with into Canvas as well. Yeah, so if you're watching this, if you aren't here and you're watching this video at home, hopefully that was helpful for you to sort of watch me do it in live time. And if you're watching this and you're in a breakout room right now, watch this, just this few minutes again to see, you know, how I would do it, So I'm going to save this file now and I'm going to go back to being muted.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that was fast.
It's amazing, isn't it? I think, again, thinking about next semester, I think I want to do more stuff like this. It's like when we're together, giving you guys time to do it, because I think something kind of cool happens when it happens. Ruba, I muted you just because there's radio or TV behind you or something. And actually, I'll show you, but I did this too. I did my own activity. So I was writing, you can watch
Okay.
that section of the video. I talk about sort of what I would do and how I do it. So that's what I was doing too. I agree. It's like 30 minutes. It's kind of the point of this book though too, right? You guys, like, if you're doing, when you're focused on the work, something happens. Like, it feels like time goes a little faster. You feel like you can get more done. It is very interesting. So yeah, maybe before we talk about what you guys wrote, I'm just curious. Liz was saying, "Oh, that went fast." Any sort of response to how was that? What was that like for you guys? Good, bad, agree, disagree? Good use of class. We're tired. We don't want to talk. Does anybody want to share their screen and show me what you wrote?
I could, but it's not complete.
Doesn't matter. Be brave. Hold on, I'm changing it. So
I did summarizing.
perfect. I did summarizing too. I thought that I would do the response, but when I started typing, I wanted to do the summarizing. Liz, go ahead. You should be able to share your screen now.
Okay. Let's see.
That was a deep breath. This is the first time I've had a student share their screen in a class. Oh yeah. Okay, let's just read by ourselves. Thank you, Liz.
So just the response.
Well, okay, the response, great. Mm. Mm. Are you a computer science person, Liz?
Yeah.
I did not know that, but now that's very clear to me when I read this. Love it. What do you guys think? I have a small thing, Liz. You don't need a space at the end of the sentence. So you like more specific and intensive, no space, just the period. This is a total boring grammar formatting. You know what I mean? Signal, space, period. No space after that word signals where you just are. No, you see what I'm saying?
Wait. Where's that at?
Everywhere. Look at the
Everywhere.
first sentence. Look at the first sentence. In the topic, how to set stronger intentions, Bailey was sharing with us about how to make your goals more specific and intensive. See that? See, after intensive, no space, just the period.
Okay.
And this is true for any paper you will ever write for US College. So again, this has nothing to do with the quality of your ideas, which is incredible, but this is just such a small thing for you guys to fix. And that's helpful for everybody. Students, Liz, students in 350, in my 350 class do this. So it's just formatting stuff. How about non-formatting ideas? What do people think about Liz's response?
Good.
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 Good. I have one thing to add. I asked Liz, "Oh, are you a computer engineer?" Like I could tell that from what her response was. I love the metaphor of the program and the executing. And I think that idea definitely connects to some of the autopilot stuff that's in these pages. But remember, in a response, you can be super personal. So you can just say, I am studying computer engineering. So this chapter made me think about da 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 da. You know what I mean? You can make it super personal. So
Okay.
so like, for example, our body can be compared to a machine. You could say something like, for me, in my opinion, our body can be compared to a machine. Then you're making sure that it's very clear, like, this is how you think about it because it's your own ideas from your own experience. Makes
Right.
sense? But I agree. I think the most important thing I have to say to just say was, which is to praise and say is so good, is this idea about the computer program and the machine. None of that was in these pages, but this is what it made Liz think. And that's why it's a perfect summary, right? Because Liz read it, understood the main idea, and then shared what it made her think about, what it made her feel. And that is exactly the goal for this type of paragraph. Thank you, Liz, for being brave and sharing your writing. Anybody else want to share? Gloria.
I can, but I'm not sure with this.
Summary, great. What do you guys think? Can you zoom in a little, Gloria? Down in the bottom right corner. Gracias, спасибо.
Дякую на здоров'я.
That was a great name.
What do you guys think?
Wow, that's so perfectly clear. That's a great summary.
Ting says good. Liz says perfectly clear. I agree. The sentences are they're strong sentence structure, so the meaning is very clear. I totally agree. Anybody else? I think it's very strong. It's very, very strong. Again, the thing I want to really emphasize for you guys here is, and I'll show you my example that I did as well. What I think, one reason that this is clear, like Liz was saying, clear, I agree. It's not just the sentences though, right? Remember, in a summary, the easiest thing to do is put your sentences in the same order of the thing you read, right? So your paragraph uses the same structure as the thing you read. Gloria did that really well, right? She basically says, first he did this, then he said that, then he did this. And again, that really helps to give that feeling of being really clear, like Liz was saying, because you don't need to worry about, oh, what order, what should I talk about first? What should I talk about? Just talk about it in the same order that you read it in the chapter. And I think that was something Gloria did really well there. Really, really well. Anybody else? Ruba. You're muted. Oh, it's paper. Uh-oh. Wait, unmute yourself, Ruba. You're going to have to bring it really close if it's a paper.
Okay, I will read this. It's not.
Oh, I love it. Great.
Not long. Setting your intention and being very specific can really help you to achieve what you want to achieve. This is full stop. You know that goals need plans. So to do that, do a list of what you want to do, decrease your goal, make it small in order to be achieved, and then prepare what you want, what you need to do the task, like tools or a place or whatever. This is a summary. And for a response, I wrote an example of my experience. When I wanted to make a MATLAB program for a fish school search algorithm, this is one method of optimization. So I said, if I put my goal is do the program today, all the program I do it today, it will be very difficult to achieve. But if I divided the program into parts, each time I will do one part. So I will make my intention stronger and I feel unstressful because I can achieve the steps one by one. Okay.
Great, Ruba. Your response is just fantastic. I mean, hopefully you guys could understand, like, agree.
And I have one point to add because he didn't say it. And give yourself time, enough time to do the thing.
Yeah. Love it. Perfect. So Ruba's response, I think, was great. Her summary, one thing I'll say again about Ruba's summary, if you guys were listening, is when I heard Ruba's summary, I think clearly Ruba understands the main idea. She definitely understands the main idea. She knows what it is. But just remember, part of this type of writing, Ruba, is that Bailey says, Bailey argued, that third person pronouns, right? So he says, he argues. So that's something you could include in some of those sentences because that type of reported speech, right? That's just sort of one part of this writing genre, if that makes sense, Ruba. Cool. Okay, so I want to share mine real quick. I thought I would do the response, but I ended up focusing on the summary. So here, and again, I know you're here, but if you want to, when I post the video, I was sort of narrating and explaining. I started with a blank page, and then I'm sort of talking to the invisible human, saying like, this is what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So again, I'm just trying stuff out, but this is what I came up with.
In this section of chapter 3,
So I think the most important thing isn't, as I say in the video, my goal is, I've been in grad school and teaching for 10 years. So I don't expect you guys to write like this, but there's a couple, but like I said, I'm just trying stuff out still every time with this online stuff. So if you want to know, oh my God, like how did Jeff do this in 30 minutes? Go back and watch just those 30 minutes. Cause like I said, it was kind of weird, but cool. I was like, I was typing, writing, and talking the video like, okay, here's what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. The only thing I really want to focus on, I was thinking about Sabida's question with the article about the 11 tips. Here's something you could absolutely do in your own writing though, is like when you have a chapter or something with a lot of specific examples, I found myself doing this. Bailey then gives many specific examples of how to make general intentions into more specific implementation intentions. Now, I don't say what they are, right? I don't say go to the gym. I don't give those examples, but I have a sentence or maybe two where I say part of my summary is, hey, in the article, there were these 11 tips. And the feeling there for the reader is, okay, this is a summary. The author is not going to tell me what those 11 tips were, but clearly there were some specific examples that were important in the article or in the chapter in the reading. So if you think about how to summarize things with a lot of specific examples, I just was realizing this is one. You know, have a sentence like this, you know, copy this sentence, paraphrase this sentence from me and use it if you need it to say, like, there are a lot of examples. I'm not going to tell you what they all are because this is a summary, but there are a lot of examples in this chapter. I think that's all I want to say. I know that we went kind of faster at the end, but I'll show you in Canvas. I put this in here. Where did I thought I did. Hold on. Oh, I added it to Canvas. Hold on one second. This document that I just typed up, my example, my writing workshop example, I put it in Canvas and I'm going to show you where it lives now so that you can access it if you want it. Live support materials. There it is. So here, I'll put this on the live support materials page too, but here in Canvas and modules, hyperfocus 65, 68 summary response example. That's this thing. That's what I just showed you guys. So yours, right? Take it, look at it, use it, read it, copy the formatting, you know, all those good things. And I'll put it on the live support page as well. Also, I wanted to say, so real quick, we only have 2 minutes, but maybe if anyone wants to, hold on. What is going on? Okay, I do not know what happened, but you guys are still there. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. So I know we went at the end there pretty quickly, but can I get quick thumbs up? Was this helpful? Was this good to practice? Just type, was this a good activity? Okay. I could feel like I think it was, so let me start to share my screen again. So I'm still thinking about, will we do another big paper? I'm not worried too much about doing a paper right now, but I do want to give you lots of times to practice this summary and response. So in Canvas, I just put lesson 19, summary and response 1. And here's what it is. It's this exact same activity, but with different pages in hyperfocus. So lesson 19 is page 78 to 81. It's exactly what we just did. Whether you're with me here live and I'm looking at you, hello, or you're watching this video, this activity in Canvas is just the exact same activity that you just practiced by yourself, okay? So 78 through 81, read those pages, 200-word summary, 250-word response. And if you want more examples and help, you can click and watch the Zoom support to reporting and other live materials. Yeah, because I think that's the best. I think honestly, that's the best use of our time right now is instead of giving you like a big paper to write, just giving you lots of chances to practice summary and response. Because that's going to help you for 340. Like 340 starts with summarize a research article and then analyze and then talk about whether it's a good article or not for your research paper. So if summary and response is, if you feel comfortable with that, you'll be really set up for success, I think. Any questions here? Because I know we're just at time. If not, peace out. Any questions though about anything, what we just did, about assignments or anything else?
I just wanted to thank you that this class, we tried something new, just practiced enough. Because for me, like to start writing, summarizing or response, it takes me hours to be honest.
Yeah.
But right now I just figured that within 30 minutes I wrote the response. Like, wow, okay.
Thank you, Liz, for saying that. Like I said, my goal, I'm just always honest with you. I'm just always myself and I'm always honest. I really think that for the next semester, it's important to lecture. It's important for the teacher to introduce important ideas, but I think I'm going to give students more time like this. Like if you're going to show up to Zoom, give you guys 30 or 45 minutes to work on your own and then talk about what you did. I feel like it is a really good. So thank you for saying that, Liz. And again, any thoughts on that? Am I right about that? It seems like this was useful for you guys. Yes, no, maybe so. I see heads nodding. Gloria Sapida. Good. So again, don't, like I said last week, don't let your teachers fool you. No one knows what they're doing right now. I mean, anybody can throw a bunch of quizzes up on Canvas, but that's not learning. You know what I mean? Like that's not really learning. So I'm just still thinking every day about how to make more opportunity, more chance for you guys to learn something. So Liz, if you go, oh my God, I learned, like I can write 200 words in 30 minutes. That's great. That makes me a very happy teacher. So Mohammed left and I'll say goodbye to Mohammed, but if you guys have to leave, of course it's 2:15. You're so wonderful. I'll stay here for a few more minutes if you have questions. Otherwise, good luck, go slow, be kind to yourself. Like Liz was saying, stuff is shutting back down again and the virus is back. It's just crazy. So go slow, be nice to yourself and let me know if I can do anything to help you. That's what I'm here for. And good luck on your test, Gloria. All right. Bye, you guys. If you have questions, I'll be here.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Oh, thank you. Have a nice day.
Goodbye, Nasi. Bye, Liz.
Bye.
Ting.
Professor, sorry, can I start to resubmit the lesson